Did you know you can fashion your Vita into a makeshift VR headset? Now, hear me out. Um, I wouldn't recommend doing that if you don't have a strong internet connection. Two, if you're sensitive to VR type headset games that with low frame rate or inconsistent frame rate. Uh, Three, if you have like motion sickness type problems, wouldn't recommend it. And obviously I'm saying all this because like the Vita wasn't exactly made for this type of stuff. It's just people kind of MacGyvered it into a device that could do that. And it's like, hear me out. um, did you know you could view 360 photos on the Vita? And I have one loaded up, right? So you know this photo is supposed to be you're supposed to be able to view it on like a 360 uh, player, headset, whatever, right? 360 virtual reality, whatever headset. But if you hit the symbol, right, the panorama, then boom, you can look all the way around this photo now. You know, you can use the right stick to, well, is it the right stick? Or is it touch? Okay, yeah, you can use the touch screen to zoom in and zoom out if you want to see certain details, right? Like you could look up at the sky, on the ground, the viewage points, all kinds of stuff, right? That's just a photo, right? So keep that in mind. That okay, you can do that with a photo because like it's kind of like it's a trick that has to do with the accelerometer or gyroscope. And it's in the Vita. Don't quote me on that. Someone's going to probably like uh, adjust their glasses and everything, type in all caps. Well, actually, it's this and that. And I'm like, hey, if hey, it's awesome. You know how to use Google and look up specs of things, but I'm just trying to get this video, bro. Like, just let me get through it. You can correct me in the comment section, so that way everybody else can learn something too. We gonna learn together, like reading Rainbow. Don't take my word for it. Read a book, or Google it. Anyway, but anyway, like I said, I don't know. Did people know you could do this? Like, this always been a thing, and I always thought this was cool. And I would just like take photos sometimes and transfer them to the Vita just to do this. Sometimes just for the fun of it. But yeah, if you load up any 360 artwork or panoramas or anything like that, you could just do this now. You could just pop this in, like the whole Vita, into like a VR headset type setup, and just look at stuff like this, full detail. So I thought that was unique. Well, Rock, you really made a video just to look at a picture? No, 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 no. There's a lot more to this. Come here. Come here. Come here. Shh. It gets deeper than that. Yeah, it's like the rabbit hole. We're going deeper now. So, um, keep this short but not too long. Okay. Developers used to be very ambitious back in the day, especially with the PSP. Technically, this is the PSP 2. You like it or hate it, it's the PSP 2. The internet doesn't like it. The internet just doesn't exist. This is the PSP 2. In the code, in paperwork, development, documentation, this is the PSP 2. Or the next generation portable. Depending on how far back was you following in the development of this thing, but this technically is the PSP 2. Um, there was another version of this at some point that was like a sliding device. Okay, hold on. It's like, rather than talk about it, I can just show you. Anyway, I'm not going to take it out the case, but I'm going to show you what I mean, though. Like, they used to have a prototype, right, of the next handheld, and originally it was supposed to be like a sliding device, right? Sliding, you know, sliding handheld, like the Spirion Play or the PSP Go, and that was supposed to be the PlayStation Vita. Unfortunately, I guess people didn't like that so much, and or maybe the development cost or something. I don't know the full story behind why they changed everything, but even in the original, um, I believe first version of the PlayStation Vita, like not first version, but the first firmware, like they'll show up like in the setup videos when you first start your Vita. Like it literally shows you the prototypes in that video. Like it's on the internet. Look it up. Like it's on the internet, YouTube. Like the original PlayStation Vita, like head prototype and like the original firmware and everything. Like the first like out the factory testers. That's what they saw. They saw a sliding PlayStation Vita with an HDMI port on it and all this other stuff. It was wild back then. But then they decided to just chop all that cool stuff and give us this because reasons. Not saying this is bad. This is fun. This is great. I love it. Form factor, everything, the weight to it, awesome. But it could have been cooler. Is what I'm saying. Um, I digress, though. But yeah, did you know about the whole photo thing? I thought that was kind of cool to show off. Just seriously, just grab a bunch of 360 photos, panorama photos, whatever, off the internet, or hell, I'm kind of curious. Would a Gaussian splatting or whatever it's called, will that work on the Vita? I don't know. This is technically a picture or video, or it's kind of like a GIF. I know Vita can view GIFs, so I believe it can, but don't quote me on that either. You can just look that up too. Yeah, Vita could display GIFs, so maybe technically you could. I don't know. I never tried it. Maybe that's something people could try. Um, yeah. But anyway, back to what I'm showing off though. Like, because the Vita has certain software tricks up its sleeve, developers took advantage of that. Because it technically was in the Unity suite of tools at the time, and since Sony didn't have faith in the handheld, they cut that loose. But internet's going to do internet stuff, and they hacked the device and brought those tools back and gave them back to the homebrew developers. And they found out, like, wait a minute, Sony and Unity, it was cooking. It's like Breaking Bad. The homebrew developers dipped their finger in there and tasted it. Wait a minute, someone cooked here, and it was good. Like, well, why didn't they continue doing this? And then everyone was just confused. Me myself, I was confused. Like, they had all these tools just sitting there, and they didn't let us do anything cool. But yeah, anybody who does any real development, like real, I mean in an official capacity, knows about all the hoops you have to go through just to get something on a storefront. Now, mind you, I don't know what's going on in the storefront these days because there's like AI slop and other garbage, but hey, as long as you pay the licensing fees or development fees or whatever they got to do these days to get stuff on there, I, I I don't think no one's even keeping track of that. As long as the game starts and you can end the game, and you you state verbatim what's in the game, like if there's loot boxes or transactions or nudity for some reason, then hey, cool. Then it's up on the store, whatever, right? But if it's completely broken, like Cyberpunk, then they take it down. But if you could start the game and end the game without it crashing your system, then it's just up there apparently. Because trust me, there's just so many games up there on PlayStation Store right now that makes no sense. Like there's a game called "I'm in Love with Your Dead Grandma" or something. Like like dead ass. There's a game like that on the store right now. Dead ass, been downloaded multiple times, been rated, reviewed. All that is wild to me. Wild. It's like if you see it, go look that up right now. Like pause the video. I'll wait. We're all waiting together, YouTube. We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait on that one person. Did you look it up yet? Come on, I want to hear typing. I want to do like one of those ASMR videos where we're all whispering for no reason, even though we're grown as hell, and we're not all deaf or anything, and our ears are wide open. But you gotta whisper and talk really close for no reason, and do for no reason. Like, what the is that about? Someone explain this shit to me, because it sounds like I have a smoking problem, and it's one of those commercials like, please don't smoke, or else you have to shave like this in the shower or something like that. You know, those commercials. Those commercials were effed up. Like I never smoked ever. Like, and I saw those commercials and thought to myself, ain't nobody got time for that. Why would I want to smoke in the first place? I want no hole in my throat. I don't want no messed up lungs. It's already hard to breathe the air these days anyway. Why would I want this? Who's doing this? Why is this cool? I'm confused. I digress though. So you came back now? You done looked it up? You're shocked? You're traumatized forever? You want me to pay for your therapy session? Nah, I'm good, bro. I'm sorry. The struggle's real over here. If we had a sponsor to this video, it'd be like, now sponsored by. Let's go take a message from our sponsors. Now, FYI, your ad block just blocked this whole section of this video because it's just that. The AI got confused and said, wait a minute, there's emotions on this video. Because he just said, sponsored by. See, now you just messed up. You just missed the good part. Now you gotta rewind back the video like a movie now. Like, wait a minute. Is that her? And she put the one leg up over the other one, and then it's nice, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You know what type of movie I'm talking. You know the movie I'm talking about. The ones who watch them straight to TV type movies. You know the basic blank blank blank. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. The grown folks know what I'm talking about. The kids not listening to this confused, like this confused old man. What is he talking about? Y'all don't know what I'm talking about. The grown folks know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. That scene where she crossed the legs and then uncrossed them and said, it's nice, isn't it? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You know what movie I'm talking about. Anyway, back to this, though. Back to this. You came back. You got traumatized. You thought I was going to pay for your therapist session. Nah. Because this video is sponsored by Bills. Yes, Bills. I have them. You have them. Struggle is real. This video is sponsored by Bills. Now watch this video or I starve to death. Or I'm on a street corner. There's knee pads on. Would do anything for money, sir. Anything? Turn around. Doing 360. Fellas, what you think? Nah, I'm out. Man, there's just a bunch of balloons getting popped in the car. What the is this? Did they just diss me? What? Just, I'm already out here in the street corner with knee pads on, with chapped lips. They don't ever give me water or a rag to wipe my mouth. It's just anyway. Enough with that. You came back. You traumatized. You're confused. Why is that on a PlayStation store? I am confused too, sir. Madam, where you identify as, I don't discriminate. You do your thing, bro. Anyway, but yeah, developers used to be super ambitious. They just did a lot of cool things, and technically, I guess you can use your Vita as like a makeshift VR headset. Just either if you want to, but you're missing out a lot if you don't. So if just hack your Vita or modify it or have someone else do it, I'm not going to show you how to do that. That's on you. I'm not getting banned on YouTube. No, you do that. You figure that out. You Google that. You ask your parents. You know, you get slapped upside the head. Boy, what the? I tell you about the modifying and the hacking and the jailbreaking and the happen to boop with the bop. We're not doing none of that in this household. You're gonna play that system stock. You're gonna play all those JRPGs. You're gonna download the games from the store like a good person. You're not doing any of that. but but Rock 60 told me to play the VR games. No, the VR what? On the Vita? No, that's not possible, son. He's gibberish. He's smoking that good stuff. He's smoking that ganja. He's drinking something. He hit his head. He's a clone. That is not the real Rock 60. I don't know who that man is. That's AI. Yep, this whole video slop. Yep, they're just that good. They made it the OG video style back in the day before all the ads and garbage. That's just how good it is, son. I'm gonna take you out back and turn you, do you like of mice and men and turn your head. Imagine us on the farm with all them rabbits. Really, George? And that's you. Sorry. I'm maybe becoming delirious from lack of sleep. So let's get this over with. Like I said, developers were highly ambitious back in the day, right? Doing all kinds of stuff with the PSP and the early Vita stuff. But it slowed down every while and Sony just gave up. So the homebrew scene took over and we got cool games like this now. FYI, I was supposed to be a part of that. Yeah, I got crazy busy in life at that point. Um, and the port or demo or game I was working on never got finished. Actually, I got really angry because of that. It never got finished and deleted a lot of that stuff. There was a demo floating around on the internet that I finished at some point. It just had the start menus, the music going, and just a quick like arcade session type of deal. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I tried to make like an arcade basketball game for the Vita at some point, and I was debating on adding a computer opponent, kind of like a 5-on-5 type of deal, or a 3-on-3 like the DS Mario game back in the day, like the 3-on-3 on Mario Hoops game. Remember that back in the day? I don't know if anybody remembers that, but that was actually a thing, yeah. But the Vita, I don't think the Vita had a basketball game, which I thought was so weird. The PSP had basketball games. They had the straight up NBA 2K on PSP. You know how wild that is to play 2K on the PSP back then? Like it had the music, the stadium, street elements. That is wild. You can play your own music in the game. You know how wild that was? And then we got the Vita. We never got many sport games because they just gave up. They made a couple of baseball games, soccer games, maybe one Madden. I think it was only one Madden on the game on the system, and handball, tennis games, and that was about it. I don't remember anything else. Unless someone else can correct me in the comment section below, but I don't remember anything else. But anyway, like I said, I was supposed to be in this contest, but that never happened because life. Um, and my phone's about to die. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, I remember when Lappy, developer's name, um, or at least that's what he goes by. I remember when he was working on this, right, and we was all giving him ideas on what he should work on because he was a beast at that point. He was creating all type of applications, porting all type of stuff, and he just like he was getting bored. He ran out of ideas, and it was like, what if you made a VR game? A VR game on the Vita? Yeah, man. What if you did that? And they used like gyro and accelerometers or something like that. And we was thinking about like some type of AR related things. It's like the AR. Well, the Vita has low quality cameras, and yes, it can recognize certain QR type codes and stuff. But since that is like a whole other avenue to work on, decided to go towards a VR type game. Um, but yeah, with that being said, though, technically you could, while playing this game, put this in a VR headset or 360-degree virtual reality headset that's made for phones. And this is like a cheap one that they sold at CVS apparently at some point. I didn't pay that, obviously. I didn't get it from CVS. I got it for like $5 from like Big Lots or something at some point. And I just MacGyvered it into a headset for my Vita because reasons. And with that being said, um, here's the setup, right? Disregard this. This is supposed to be like a silly putty to help cushion the screen so it won't crack it, because this is a really hard piece of plastic right here to separate the two lenses. And I use some Velcro and some, I don't know, some desktop counter cushions to stop the screen from smacking against the plastic. And you can adjust the distance of the lenses, how far away, how close they are together, and you got yourself a Vita VR headset. Now, keep in mind, you definitely need some type of strap system to keep the Vita in place, because the original, I got it right here. The original part is only made for phones, right? And it's only made for phones that are a certain thickness, right? So, with that being said, the Vita is way too heavy, way too thick. And you could use the lighter model, the 2000, but I love this big bad boy. So that's what I always use for like different experiments and demos and stuff like that to try out when doing stuff. Is the original Vita. So, and with that being said, the Vita is very, when attaching it to this like headset, it's very top heavy, so your head's gonna be leaning forward a lot, unless, like I said, you use like a lot of straps of some kind to hold it down. And obviously, like being like in a sitting position or laying down, or else you're gonna hurt your head or your neck, because like I said, attaching the Vita to this is gonna be really heavy. And if you're sensitive to the VR type games, yeah, technically playing a game like this using the PlayStation Vita as like a VR type device might not be good for you. Because Lappy did a good job keeping the frame rate consistent, but it's 60 frames per second. What just happened? Okay, phew, I thought the game broke. Um, but yeah, as you can see, I don't know, I hope you guys can see that on camera. Um, there's a split in between the screen, right? It's just the graphics, right, or UI element. It's, and well, no, it's more than that, because your ship can only go so far on each side, right? And the point of the game is like, your spaceship, both had two spaceships, they both had their own life bar, and you can use left and right as the fire each individual spaceship's, rockets and stuff, right? Which is really cool. One issue though with the makeshift VR headset is that when you put it into something like this, yeah, you can't use any of the controls now. Now, there are Vita plugins that you can download that disables like the analog sticks and stuff. And I know you're like, why would you do that? Um, like I said, with the headset, you can't use any of the buttons. So how would you get around that? You connect a Bluetooth controller, a DualShock, or DualSense, or even an Xbox controller at this point, or whatever you got lying around that can connect to the Vita. Um, Knowing that to support it, I would uh, try the DualShock or the DualSense because most developers are supporting that right now. Um, Connect that through Bluetooth first, right? Have that tested out, make sure that all works. Then go to like a plugin that disables the Vita thumbsticks, right? Because or disables the buttons. Maybe both, because I think I downloaded both when I was doing like my VR type uh, setups. So I disable the buttons, right? It only does that on the Vita itself. It doesn't do that on the Bluetooth controller that's plugged connected. So keep that in mind. So remember, if you're gonna do something like this, make sure you're not sensitive to low frame rates or low resolution. You have a proper headset. You obviously your device is charged and modified to run unsigned code or hacked or whatever what you want to call it. Um, then download the plugins where it disables your like your buttons and stuff. Remember, you need to connect the Bluetooth controller before you do this, because once you do that, you won't be able to control your Vita, and then you're gonna be freaking out and like, oh my god, how can I control stuff? Because you need to make sure you're aware that you did that, and next time you go to play your Vita and you don't have a Bluetooth controller connected, you could be confused on why your Vita doesn't work when it actually does work just fine. You just have plugins to disable your buttons. Um, like I said, why would you do that? Because would you lock it into something like this, um, you won't be able to use your the buttons on the system because they all mushed up against the headset, and you're gonna cause false inputs, and you don't want that obviously if you're trying to do like a makeshift VR type gaming headset gaming session. So, like I said, once again, look for type of games that have use of uh, gyro or accelerometer on the Vita, and then you're set pretty much. Same thing with um, when it comes to the photos too. I think I mentioned that earlier in the video where like um, if the photo you're trying to view in like a VR type setup, it has to be like a panorama photo or a 360 panorama type photo, something that's like shot on a 360 hero camera or a drone or something like that. You can view that on the Vita. You just have to transfer it over into the proper into the proper folders, or use your content manager on your computer and just properly move that over into the proper folders. And then, once you do that, reset your Vita and everything should just show up. If you don't, you probably transferred it into the wrong folder. So you should probably look that up, how to transfer photos to your Vita and backwards and forwards. There's a whole procedure of doing that. But yeah. Did you know that? I'm just wondering, did all y'all know that? Like, did you know you could actually do that on your Vita? And damn, that's a 30-minute video. But I rambled on way too long. Maybe you fell asleep at this point. Maybe you should finish that meal that you ordered. And maybe you, in the middle, you stopped this video, got that therapy session for that game that you looked up, came back, and you feel better about yourself. But all in all, hey, I hope you enjoyed this little rambling session. Um, I'll try to do more videos, but it's like I said, it's maybe I said this to myself, but it's rare that I have moments to myself where it's completely quiet, where I can record videos without being interrupted or stop to do something every 5 seconds. Um, and that's why there hasn't been a lot of videos coming out. And plus, life has been just wild. Health stuff came up, and I'm doing my best to keep my head up and everything, keep it moving. You know, take care of your mental health, fellas, because it's rough out here. And I think that's it. Like I said, 30-minute video. Wow. Peace.